Hey everyone. Okay, so today is the first full day of my version of Shorty September. I started last night a little bit when I was getting my hair done. My hair had like loads of highlights and stuff from summer, and I was hoping that the blonde would like catch like a weird color, like if I got a color that was slightly different. And so I was thinking like a burgundy sort of color, and so it's still a little bit dark right now and it's in a ponytail, so obviously you can't see, but there is like a purplish reddish like tone to it. So yeah, I'm hoping that when I wear it down that you can tell like different colors in there, and then yeah, that it will like lighten a little bit in the next week or so. But anyway, so the only reading that I did yesterday was when I was getting my hair done, when I was like a hot mess, crazy, blah, 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 waiting for it to be ready to get washed and cut. And I started the book, The Nerves and Their Endings. This is Essays on Crisis and Response, and it's by Jessica Gaitán Johannesson. This author, let me just say what it says about her. She grew up between Sweden, Colombia, and Ecuador. So just like a very diverse background. It says that she's a bookseller and she's an activist working for climate justice. So that's, I'm pretty sure, going to play a lot into this book. So this is just a book of essays, which I love, but I was just trying to read it while I was getting my hair done, as I said, and there were other conversations going on and stuff, so I didn't get super far. But so far I really like it because she talks about mental health, which is like an interest of mine, and a struggle that she had in her past with like an eating disorder. So like if that's a trigger for you, just know that it's mentioned. So far it's not like gone into a huge amount of detail on, but it's just mentioned. And then like she's obviously very passionate about climate justice too, or like, yeah, just like climate change and trying to make things better. I thought that this was an interesting thing, so I'll just share it real quick. It was on page 10, which is as far as I got. It was describing a conversation with one of her friends who is a therapist, and just this description that he gave her when you're like going through something hard, like how it kind of ebbs and flows with how you're feeling about it. So this is what it says. He describes the moment back and forth between engaging with the crisis and retreating to ordinary life as a misted mirror. Getting out of the shower, you wipe it, and there your face is, warts and all, the lips of someone who doesn't know what enough means. Soon the mist, which includes your own breath, covers it up again. But every time the mist is cleared, there's the possibility of something new emerging that wasn't there before. Except it isn't new at all. It only happens to be new to you. So, I think I'm gonna really like this. I'm just not far. The plan for today is I'm going to go to yoga, which is why I look like this. And then my mom and I, we're gonna go mini golfing. It is rainy and wet. It might stop raining by the time she comes, but I'm not sure if it'll be okay weather or not for mini golf. The plan is if we're not mini golfing, we'll just go out to lunch. But anyway, I'm hanging out with her. And then this afternoon and evening, I hope to read. So yeah, we have today off, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday off. So lots of time for reading, and let's see how many shorties I can get through. Okay, so I'm showing my mom my school real quick, and I was like, oh, I should like show you guys while I'm at it. So I'm gonna show you the commons area at the end of my hallway, the 700 hallway, which is like basically where kids can come to hang out, or you can bring your whole class here to do a project or whatever, just to offer like more flexible seating options and stuff. There's just all sorts of different seating options for a more flexible workspace. I'm gonna quickly show you my classroom before my mom and I go to lunch. So when you walk in, I have to greet you, and you can choose your greeting if you want to wave, a hug, fist bump, handshake, high five, or you want to just say hi to me. And then you walk in past these amazing pictures, and you have to say, I'm respectful, I have pride, I have integrity, And then you can come over to a regulation station, which is a hot mess right now. And you can pick a tool that you might want to use for regulation. And then after that, you have to sit down and do your bell work. So that's how kids enter, and I'll just give you a tour of the rest. It's vegan. Hey everyone, it's Saturday and I thought I would tell you what is going on today. So basically I'm on my way to the library. The reason is because 1, I need to return books, and 2, I need to pick up free COVID tests because a member of my family has COVID and I was exposed yesterday to a person that also had contact with them, and basically I only have 2 tests left, so I just thought I would stock up by visiting the library where we can get free tests. And then I'm on my way to Grand Rapids because even though I have not finished the book, The Nerves and Their Endings, which I'm loving by the way, I want to make sure I'm prepared for the next prompt, and I'm going to do the paper bag prompt, which is basically to go to the bookstore and pick out a book. And then I'm gonna go to the coffee shop and just live my best life. Okay, so you're probably curious about why I'm doing this today if I'm not even ready for the paper bag book yet. And it is in case 1, you know, the plague happens. And 2, it's Saturday. I just feel like going to Grand Rapids, getting a coffee, reading, and yeah, I just think it'll be a fun day. Close The Nerves and Its Endings, or The Nerves and Their Endings, isn't that long of a book. It's really like slow and reflective, so that's why it's taking me so long. Okay, so let's get clear on what the mission is, because it's always important to keep your goals in mind, right? So the mission is paper bag shorts. Buy a book and read it. So that's what we're doing, okay? Hey guys, okay, so I wanted to end this vlog just by talking about the book that I read for this prompt, and that is The Nerves and Their Endings, Essays on Crisis and Response. This could be for a lot of different prompts. So I wrote some notes, so I'm going to be reading from here. But some of the prompts that it could be for would be shorts with pockets, because I feel like you could fit nerves in your pockets if you wanted to. Also, it would be really good for summer cookout shorts because there's food mentioned quite a lot in it. I would say because this book is focused so much on climate change, which I will talk about later, it would be really good to be paired with like some vegan food or cake, because that's mentioned a little bit too. So even better, maybe vegan cake. That's an option. Also, it could be part of the supermarket 2-pack shorts bundle, because basically it's about climate change, climate justice, all that sort of stuff. And there are so many fiction shorties that also deal with those issues or that issue. So that would be good as well. But the one that I decided to pair it with was the New Metal Bermuda shorts, and that is read a book that mixes genres. The reason that I picked it for this one is basically because I thought that would be a tricky one to find another book for, although I do think I might have a few. And so yeah, I'm putting it down as that, and then I'm sure that I'll be able to find other books for all the other prompts. My style of doing Shorty September is the winging it method, in which I collect loads of short books and then read them based on my mood, and later pair them with which prompt I think they would go with, which is obviously going to get harder as this goes on. But anyway, okay, so what is this book about? This book is kind of hard to describe. It's a book of essays, and the author is super passionate about climate change, climate justice, all those sort of things. And so I would say that that's what it's about. But it's not only about that. It's also about mental health. It's also about the virus, if you know what I mean. So actually interesting that I read this, as I am waiting to see if I have been touched for the second time by such things. I'm still feeling fine. Feel like a bit off and a bit sleepy. Maybe some sinus drainage, but so far okay. Okay. This book, even though it's a book of essays, or because it's a book of essays, kind of does this cool thing where it zooms in and out of different issues, from like the micro level of just your individual connection to the issue, to more the macro, the worldwide, the more systems view of it. And it just kind of fluidly moves in and out, and fluidly moves in between issues as well. And poetry is interspersed as well. So it's just a really hard book to pin down, which is why it's perfect for the Bermuda shorts prompt. So as I said, it just is very fluid between topics, and then also fluid in the way it zooms in and out. One quote that kind of shows that, I think, is, "Your nerves seem to stretch beyond what's visibly yours." And there's this idea that keeps coming up in this book, that the issues that impact us are not individual issues, but there are things that impact everybody, and what impacts one person impacts the group, and what impacts the group impacts one person. Specifically with climate change, and with a lot of other issues, the poor and those that are a minority in some way are going to be more deeply impacted. So there's this one point in the book where I didn't write it down, so I'm not sure, but somebody is mentioning how she was really annoyed with this idea of white people switching from being passionate about climate change to being passionate about Black Lives Matter, because she said that they're the same thing, that basically they're not the same thing, but that Black people are going to be more deeply impacted by climate change than people that are in positions of power. And so you can't just separate one issue in the way that sometimes white people want to. And kind of connected to that, Audre Lorde is connected quite a bit, and she says, and there are no new pains, we have felt them already. So just this idea that even like time is fluid too, and that history continues to repeat itself, that we've never really healed from any racial pains of the past and any harm that has been done to people in the past, and it just keeps going, and we're experiencing the same pains over and over and over again, and nothing is new. One thing that was really interesting that was brought up in the book was this idea of slow violence, which I connected to personally, although it was used to describe climate change. And that's really interesting about this book, is this idea of everything being micro and macro at the same time, like what I have mentioned a few times before. So slow violence is basically this idea that people harm others, or corporations harm others, and that the harm continues beyond the actual act. So for example, if a corporation comes in and just like gets rid of loads of trees in the rainforest or something like that, that impact lasts even beyond their time there and their actual action of cutting down trees. And so it's this idea that the violence that's done is slow, it's long lasting, and that the perpetrators of this violence might not even be present in the moment anymore. And recently I was diagnosed with CPTSD, and it kind of made me think of that too, that like I'm still having impacts of something that happened a long time ago, and that is to me a form of slow violence. Slow travel is also talked about, and just this idea of really being conscious of your travel, how often you travel, how far you travel, how you travel there, all that sort of stuff that's connected to climate change as well. And obviously that those with the resources are the ones who are able to travel, and thus impacting the planet more than those without resources. But again, obviously, like corporations and things are causing more harm than like an individual person that's going on vacation. So there's this idea of being conscious of what changes you can make to the environment for the good, but also that most of the need for change is more on corporations than on the individual. The idea of identity is also talked about in a way that I connected to, because when I was going to college and when I first started teaching, I viewed myself as a teacher, like a special ed teacher was like so much a part of who I was, and it really formed my identity. And now it's definitely like part of me. I'm so passionate about my new job. We should talk about that. But it's not my whole identity in the way that it used to be. And basically it was talking about how capitalism and other sort of big macro systems and things like that really want your identity to be tied to your job, to your work, and just how someone stands to gain from Someone stands to gain from you identifying with your job only and not with the rest of your humanity. And later, the author describes that the reason for that is because a limited self is easy to control, rather than a self that's more complicated and nuanced and has many different facets. So finally, I will leave you with a quote that's on page 112 in this book, and really wraps up this idea of flow between different topics and the micro and macro sort of lens that you can view things through, the individual and the collective. And that is starting with a quote from Lord, which is, "The answer to cold is heat. The answer to hunger is food. But there is no simple monolithic solution to racism, to sexism, to homophobia. Neither is there for climate crisis, because all of the above, along with an economic system which protects corporate greed, helped create it. It's not easy to recognize this when we're afraid and seemingly quicker fixes are offered. Neither is it impossible, because we are always multiple. Responding in multiple ways is in fact more humanly possible. It's the kind of action that makes us human and cares for the human in others." So, definitely a good book. I would give it 4 stars. It's not anything that deeply changed my life, but it was very thought-provoking and something that will stick with me quite a bit. So maybe the star rating will go up the more I reflect on it. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me as I read my first book for Shorty September, even though I cheated and finished it a day early. I hope you guys have the best start to Shorty September, and stay tuned for my next vlog when I read from another prompt. I haven't decided which prompt yet, so you're gonna be just as surprised as I am. Bye, guys.